Hey everyone, what's up and welcome to 10 tips I wish I knew before I started Spectre Divide. I'm still relatively new to Spectre, just like all of us are, but there are some tips I have accumulated over the course of my 130 hours through playtests that Spectre has hosted. So I like to think I have some information to share with you all, and I hope it helps you out. I do stream every day on Twitch, link to that will be in the description. We're playing all day, every day, man. I plan on posting a ton of Spectre content here on the channel, and I'm excited. I hope to see just as much excitement from you guys as I am for this game, and I can't wait to share more. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel here. And like I said, my Twitch link will be in the description. But let's get into it with tip number one, and that is going to be regarding Spectre placement. Spectre placement is important. If you guys play Valorant or Counter-Strike, you would know that you kind of just got to walk to where you want to go before the round starts. But in Spectre, it's made a lot simpler. You do have two bodies to account for, so it would be unrealistic to walk both your bodies to two different points of the map or both of them to the same point. So if you just open up your mini map, if you left click, you can place your main body anywhere you want. And if you right click, you can place your Spectre anywhere you want. In addition to this, if you were to hold down left or right click while placing your body, you can also rotate the position of that body to make sure they're looking exactly where you want them to. This is super intuitive. It makes sure that you can set your character up exactly how you want without ever actually having to access the other body or switch bodies to check on it. And lastly, to finish this all off, if that wasn't precise enough for you when it comes to body placement, at the very last minute, if you realized your sniper was in the position where you wanted your AR character to be, you could very quickly double tap the keybind you use to switch to your Spectre to swap bodies before the round starts. So your sniper would instantly teleport to where your AR is, and your AR would instantly teleport to where your sniper is. It's a good way to last minute quickly switch the positions of your bodies. And so yeah, that's tip number one. If you guys didn't know that, now you know. It'll save you a lot of time when getting set up before your round starts. Moving on to tip number two though, we're gonna talk about the buy menu. The buy menu is a little bit confusing to some people when they first boot up Spectre. They open it up and they see double combinations of weapons everywhere, and they don't really know where to start. One thing you need to remember is that in Spectre, you have two bodies to account for. Spectre is a core part of the game's fundamental gameplay loop, and so they don't want people, juicing up their one character with a sick weapon and basically leaving their second body as just a meat shield or bait. They want both bodies to be utilized to their full potential or equal potential between the two bodies each round. And so every single time you buy something in the buy menu, you're accounting for both bodies. That's why there's two guns with every purchase you make. Now, when it does come to buying weapons for friends, this is where the system gets pretty intuitive. If you were only able to afford half of a loadout of a tier 4 weapon, but your friend had quite a bit of cash sitting on him, he could purchase half of your loadout and you could finish the other half to get that tier weapon you wanted. You do have to remember though that your friend can't just buy that one weapon and now one character has a weapon and your other character doesn't. You have to fulfill both ends of the loadout in order to fulfill the purchase. And so like I said, your friend could buy one half, you could buy the other, or your two friends could purchase both halves of your loadout and give you one complete loadout. So it's very nice. Moving on to tip number three, we're going to talk about Spectre Utilization. I think it's very important that in Spectre, you're playing multiple positions, especially when you are defending. You're never going to want to stack all your bodies onto one site, because if you have both your bodies on one site, you're only able to play one of them at a time and the other one isn't being used for information. At the beginning of a round, if you place one Spectre to cover the middle lane and you place one Spectre on A site, you would be able to watch if anybody comes through A or if anybody's coming through mid. If you do have all of the enemies pushing to B site, your middle Spectre is closer than the Spectre at A, which would be able to rotate to A site and then rotate your main body over to it. So it does play highly advantageous to spread your bodies out. You get more information. This goes along for your teammates as well, because they'll be able to be active on a site with you rather than having dead space bodies just sitting there. And a lot of you might be thinking, isn't it risky to leave your other body so far across the map without being able to keep a good eye on them? Each Spectre also has an alarm system built into them. So whatever body you aren't active in, as long as an enemy nearby isn't slow walking, it'll actually alarm your Spectre that there's incoming threats and you know to switch to it so you can actually combat whatever's nearby or catch people lacking as they rotate across the map. Moving on to tip 4, we have Spectre Mobility. As much as playing multiple positions is strong, there are also a lot of positions on the map that can only be accessed by a second body. So the Spectre plays as a mobility tool to get up onto boxes, to get up into vents that you normally wouldn't be able to reach just by jumping. I highly encourage you all to take advantage of these spaces because it allows you to defend or push sites from various angles rather than the basic ones you have just on foot. The Spectre tool isn't only good for reaching hard to reach spaces, but it's also a mobility tool to move silently. If you're up on a ledge and you know that people are nearby and they would hear you if you have no way down other than to drop and make noise, you can actually throw your Spectre puck and silently switch bodies after your body silently teleported to where you threw it, and keep the silent play going without alarming enemies. The only thing you have to be careful of here are recall lines. Every time you throw a Spectre puck and your body is teleporting to it, from the body to the puck, there will be a trail that kind of looks like electricity. If enemies see this, they will know that you are moving your Spectre. This is why rotating across a map can be dangerous if you do it too quickly at the beginning of a round. But as long as your Spectre is nearby, no one's probably going to see the recall line. Moving on to tip number 5, we have staying on the move. It's highly important that once a round progresses, you are keeping your Spectre up with your plans. If you are pushing a site and you've officially taken that site, you want to make sure you call your Spectre onto that site so they're not sitting across the map. If you were to die, you would have to rotate from the complete other side and they'd probably defuse in that time. Same thing with defending. If you know that a team is committing to a push and you can confirm this is where they're going, you probably want to move your Spectre so that once again, if you die, you're not halfway across the map and by the time you get there, you're gonna have no time to defuse. The other benefits of moving your Spectre with you constantly is that allows you to play in combat with two bodies. If you were to peek somebody and take some damage, you could then take cover and then re-peek out with another body from a different angle that you've already set yourself up on. It'll hit the enemy with the element of surprise, which they wouldn't expect to begin with. And also, if you were to peek and take damage, you could then switch to your other body and recall that body out of that position that they are now stuck in. Like I mentioned earlier, the only thing you do have to be careful of when moving bodies is that you don't die before the body finishes its recall line, because if you do, then your body will still be stuck in the original position. And this moves us on to tip number 6, which is fast recalls. If you look around any of the maps, there are green zones on the mini map, on the main map. And if you see these and you throw your Spectre puck onto them, it'll actually recall your Spectre to that location much quicker than it ever would throwing it in any other random position. This is a really good tool. Say you're rotating across the map and you find a green zone halfway through at mid. It's a good place to quickly call down your Spectre, get him out of a dangerous spot, or keep the Spectre from the original position up with you. So when you're pushing site, you know, your bodies are together. One of the sponsors in this game called Mew Robotics actually has an ability where they spawn down a little bit of a shielded dome, but more importantly, it actually spawns a fast recall zone, which can be really useful once again if you're pushing with a team and you know they're coming. You throw that down, your entire team can recall their Spectres to that one spot instantly. Just make sure you keep an eye on these things. They're very useful and honestly easy to overlook if you aren't paying attention to them. Tip number 7 is abilities with Spectre. There are a ton of sponsors in this game, and if you want to make full use of most sponsors' kits, you're going to have to know how to use your Spectre in creative ways. At least one ability on most sponsors' kits have at least one function that ties into Spectre usage. So one of my favorite classes is Pinnacle International. It's the class with a cluster grenade, a flashbang, and a stim to heal yourself. But one of the cool perks to the stim is that if you were to switch bodies while healing your current body, the other body would then get increased movement speed and Bloodhound's vision, which basically blacks everything out and highlights enemies red. A lot of times I would find myself popping this ability and switching to my Spectre just to make use of this mobility tool. That makes me a lot harder to kill when pushing a site and can make me play like a psychopath because I'm just so much faster than everybody. It's so much fun to use. It kind of reminds me of like an Octane stim from Apex Legends, but there are other classes that work with Spectre as well. The Morgan sponsor also has an ability where you can throw a smoke shift. You throw smoke with a lineup, and wherever that lands, your Spectre instantly teleports inside of that smoke, and you can then switch to places where honestly, you wouldn't be able to throw your puck because it's just too far. So make sure you're looking into the Spectre component of every kit. That is how you're gonna make most use out of each of these sponsors' potential. We're already at tip number 8. If you've made it this far in the video, make sure you drop a like. I really do appreciate the support, and I mean, shoot, you might as well hit the subscribe button at that point. You're here, man. So tip number 8 is gonna be weapon accuracy. Weapon accuracy in this game is the big selling point, but also something that a lot of players might still not be familiar with. Unlike games like Counter-Strike and Valorant, you are fully accurate while moving. In Spectre Divide, there is no accuracy penalty to movement in this game. And in addition to this, you are 100% accurate while ADSing at all times. So if you can learn the recoil patterns of weapons and memorize the entire spray and get that thing down to a dot, as long as you're ADS, you'll be hitting every single one of those bullets. There are 2 exceptions to this rule though when it comes to being accurate while moving in this game, and that's going to come down to the Harpy and the prototype op sniper rifles, or sniper and marksman rifles. These weapons do require you to be standing still to gain 100% accuracy while using. They are very strong weapons. This is just the way they wanted it to be, and honestly it probably makes the weapons balanced. So make sure you are standing still and getting accurate while shooting these things. Tip number 9 is going to be for when you are planting and defusing the bomb. This one's short and sweet, but if you have the opportunity to do so with a second body nearby, if you are planting the bomb, you don't need to sit there and waste time just planting the bomb. While planting, you can switch to your other body, and the body you left will continue and finish the plant as long as it doesn't die, so you can play another position and cover your body who is planting. This also goes for defusing. If you're in a very clutch situation, you're the only player left on your team, but you have both bodies alive, and you know you're gonna have to be fighting off a lot of enemies, but you need to get this defuse off because the clock is running. While starting the defuse, you can switch to your body, it'll continue the defuse, and you can cover for yourself to make sure you get that off. It would make for some incredible plays. Honestly, I'm yet to see it happen in games I've played, but yeah, I think this is a pretty sweet tip. And finally, we're gonna talk about tip number 10, which is all about the Minimap. The Minimap is a great information tool. If you look up at the Minimap, a lot of times you can see abilities on that map. Depending on the ability, you can kind of see where the ability comes from. Vector Dynamics has a wall that they shoot out, and the wall is used kind of as a blockage to the other team's site. But if you look at the map and you see where the wall is moving, you can oftentimes determine where the enemy would have shot that wall from, which will then tell you where the enemies are coming from. In addition to this, it's also a great information tool for your own abilities. If you are playing Pinnacle International and you are throwing some grenades, if you look at the minimap, it'll tell you exactly where the ability will land with a line on the minimap. So lineups in this game are honestly quite easy. All you gotta do is look at your mini map. You can look up higher to make the line shorter, or look more straight to make the line longer, and you can place abilities exactly where you want them. This goes for smokes, grenades, anything really. Just get creative with it. And so I hope those 10 tips helped you out, but I do have one more 11th tip. I guess you could call it a bonus tip. This is going to be regarding the practice range. The practice range, I probably spent the first 50 hours of my game being in this range, not knowing that there was a back half to the range. So if you didn't know, now you know. I just don't want you to make the same ridiculous mistake that I did. In the back of this practice range, there are a dummy, a spray board, and a bit of a tile targets game that you could play to pass the time while waiting for your friends in queue. This is all a great place to kind of just, warm up your aim, or even practice the recoil on a lot of the weapons and test damage profiles. But don't forget about the front of the range as well, where they have targets that can change in size, distance. You can kind of customize it how you want it. And yeah, that's everything that I wish I knew before I started playing Spectre Divide. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, we will be posting a lot of content of Spectre here on the channel. I've been looking forward to this game for a long time, ever since I heard about it, which honestly hasn't even been that long, but it feels like it's been a long time. So I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to post more. Can't wait to share my joy with this game with you guys. And I hope to see you guys here in the next video. So subscribe, turn on notifications. Thanks so much for the support on the video. And I hope to see you guys over on my Twitch stream. Keep up, stay up. Peace out.